guest is a talented actor you know from his work in films such as The Royal Tenenbaums, Old School, and Legally Blonde. He stars in Horizon and American Saga Chapter 1, which will be in theaters on June 28th. Let's take a look.
Here's what I ask. When you see men working, figure out how to help. Both of you. This ain't helping.
No, I know.
Hold on. Tomorrow, you be aware of the time. I want you to draw your water and get your team hitched ahead of all these others, and don't stop anyone asking for help. Now, if that means you gotta get up a little early, go ahead. That extra time you like to take mornings, just you two, only means you're dragging this out for everyone.
All right, that's fair enough.
I hope so.
Please welcome back to the show our friend Luke Wilson, everybody. Happy to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's always a joy to have you on the show. And I hear there's something we do on this show that you dig.
Well, there's a lot that you do.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of the show, but one thing in particular is, you know, Johnny Carson had a thing where when he'd have a joke not do well, it was almost as funny as if it had just brought the house down the way he'd handle it. Like, okay, well. But you have a thing that's almost even better where when you have a joke, let's say it doesn't perform as well as you might want it to, you call out the writer.
By name.
Yeah. Where you show a picture of him.
Yeah.
And then even if he's there on the floor, you will get a live shot. And it takes me back to, like, you know, 8th grade getting in trouble where you're in the school teacher role, but you'll say, did you think that was funny when you wrote it? And did you think other people would think that was funny? And how do you feel now?
Yeah.
Now that the joke is played, how do you feel? But it really, you know.
The best thing about it is they feel fine because they're on TV.
Yeah. Well, it's the Scollins character a lot. Is the one that gets called.
He's not a character. He's a real person. He just seems like a character.
Because if this guy is an actor, he is great. But it reminds me of. In 6th grade, I had a paper where I got a B-, which was a huge deal because it was such a great grade for me. But the title of my paper was Muammar Gaddafi, World Troublemaker. And the subtext being like, you think I'm a troublemaker? What about this Gaddafi guy over in Libya? This guy's raising hell. I'm just in 6th grade here. But Scollins really takes me back to that era. So.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's here
tonight.
tonight.
So bad that Gaddafi would write one about Scollins.
I like this Scollins guy.
Yeah, why am I so bad?
He should be in my cabinet.
This is so exciting because this is a sprawling Western epic directed by Kevin Costner, who's the guy you think about when you think about sprawling Western epics. What was it like to be directed by a guy who does this better than anyone?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a high point of my life and just one of the best things I've ever gotten a chance to be a part of. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I think I've gotten, as getting to be an older actor, sometimes I probably don't listen to directors as much as I should, you know. Just think, oh, okay, that's a good note. No, I should try that. Yeah, okay. You know, because a lot of times they're talking about, you know, they want other people to hear them directing you. Like, I want to see through your eyes what's not just in your heart, but what's in your soul. I mean, like, okay, how about I give a look? And if that gives you what you're looking for. But no, with Kevin Costner, I felt I was almost listening too intently. You know, he'd be talking, and I mean, I just saw some footage yesterday of me being directed by him, and I mean, I'm just kind of locked into him like that, but I could listen too intently to work. One day, I went walking by, and he grabbed my arm, and he said, later we're going to do a shot, and I want to get a tight shot of your horse's legs charging through this river here and kind of up to the desert where a drifter is going to be coming out of the desert. I said, okay, great. So just the horse's legs. And he said, yeah, with you on it. And I said, okay, no, that's better. I should be on the horse because that doesn't make sense if I'm not on the horse. And he just looked at me. He actually got up and he walked away, and then he turned back to look at me and just like, hey, this is the guy I've hired to be in charge of a wagon train who thinks his horse is just out there charging around. taking care of business.
It was like his way of saying, and we've decided since the horse can do that on its own, we don't need you anymore.
Yes, yes.
I always, and by the way, I've had this when Kevin's been here. Like when Kevin Costner's here, one of the people that was like famous when I was a kid, they're like sometimes where I am the worst version of myself because I just want to like be a fanboy about them. Did you have moments like that with Kevin where you like embarrassed yourself by being just impressed to be in his presence?
I did. I mean, he is one of those guys, like you were saying, just like, you know, John Belushi or Sean Penn or Nick Nolte. If there was a movie out, you know, I was going to find a way to get into the theater,
Yes.
whether it was rated R or not, would just find a way to do that. But yeah, I did, I tried to keep it professional with Kevin. But there was a day in Moab where we were shooting at Moab, Utah, where long day going down Main Street, and me and my friend pull up, and there was, Kevin right in the car next to us. I was like, hey, there's Kevin. He's right there. I'm like, pull up. We get up next to him, and it's Kevin and his friend Nick. And kind of we're gesturing to him, and they turn and talk to each other, and Kevin rolls his window down. He's like, yeah? I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? What are you doing? And he's like, and he had a script in his lap getting prepared for the next day's work. And he said, I'm just going home. And I said, okay, great. And he's like, well, what are you guys doing? I said, we're gonna go into town. And he's like, okay, you guys have a great day. And then you could see him kind of in the car. But I mean, these days, they were long days. I mean, there were days when, I would get into the trailer and just kind of lay on the couch, and you'd hear the knock at the door. The Teamsters, the guys in charge of the trailer, say, "Hey, Luke, we're shutting things down here," and say, "Can I just? Can I stay in here overnight?" Well, we're moving to another location. Okay, that's just down the valley, right? I got to be here in the morning anyways. I just stay in the trailer. And they'd say it was an insurance issue.
It is nice. I will say one of the nice things watching that clip of being in a Western is it seems like you can look like somebody who hasn't slept for a while. You know what I mean?
Oh,
yeah. You're like covered in dirt and dust.
Oh, yeah. Just all the regular kind of movie stuff goes out the window.
Yeah.
Like touch-ups, or you have some lint right here. Can I get that? Or do you mind if I fix your hair right here? That all goes out the window.
Did you have favorite Westerns as a kid?
Yeah, I really loved Westerns. I know that like the Westerns of the 50s, like the John Ford and John Wayne Westerns were, incredible. But I really was a big Clint Eastwood fan and loved like Josie Wales, and High Plains Drifter was just one of my top three, and Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid.
That's
with
a
Chris
fantastic,
Christopherson.
That's the Peckinpah movie.
With the Peckinpah movie with the Bob Dylan music and James Coburn. And
Chris Christopherson, it's kind of unfair how good he is as an actor, considering what a good songwriter and musician he is.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
One of the best songwriters of all time, but then he just seems like a total
Very natural as Billy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
movie.
man, it is such a joy to have you back. Congrats on the movie. I'm always so happy to see you. You guys, that's Luke Wilson. Horizon and American Saga Chapter 1 is in theaters next Friday. Stick around. We'll be right back with music from Michael Marchese.